So like this one guy, Randy, is a CEO. He has embolisms in his leg that travel up and block his pulmonary artery, and his body shuts down. And he rises up. Interestingly, he sees the realm all around us, the spiritual dimension all around us. He cries out to Jesus. He was a believer in Jesus, but he was really struggling with God. And the next thing he knows, he's up, he's traveling up, and he's embraced. And he knows who this is. And he feels an arm around his stomach, and he feels a beard on his face.
That's personal.
And he knows this is Jesus, and he drops to his knees, and he's just overwhelmed. And Jesus turns him around and picks him up, and he looks into his eyes, and he said, I knew love. I knew the love of a child. I knew the love of a spouse, but I'd never looked into the eyes of love itself.
Gosh.
And he said, I just never wanted to leave. And he and Jesus began to walk through this beautiful paradise. Like you heard Jim say, flowers and trees and forests and mountains in the distance. Beauty like earth, but so vivid.
Yeah.
Colors that we've never even seen before, and just life flowing out of everything. And what was interesting, Randy grew up in a very hard childhood. He had really bad asthma, so he's in and out of the hospital a lot. As a result, he was a bit overweight. He got bullied a lot. He only had one friend, and this one friend ended up getting attacked by a gang, so they moved away. Gosh. He lost his friend. His little dog, Casey, was all he had. And Jesus starts showing him these, he called them life vignettes, but it's like a life review. And he shows him this. He's showing them all this, painful memories of a childhood.
Yeah.
And Randy was like, Lord, why are you showing me this? Kind of like, I don't want to see that. And then it hit him. Were you there with me? Like even through that? And he turns and he looks at Jesus, and there's a tear.
Wow.
Going down Jesus' face. And he says, I was always with you. I've always been with you, just waiting for you to turn to me. And then he's going on, and he comes to this river. And there are rivers in heaven. And, Jesus talks about the river of life, right? Which he said was of the Holy Spirit, those rivers of living water.
Right.
And Randy wants to drink. He has this desire to drink of the water. So he does. He scoops it up, and he said, as soon as I did, it was like ecstasy, like joy just burst through me. And he's just like, this is unbelievable. And he turns to Jesus, and Jesus shows him across this meadow, there are these children playing. And he says, what is this, Lord? And he said, these are the children whose lives were taken too early. I'm restoring their joy.
Oh my gosh.
And then he looks back at Jesus, and Jesus is holding a flask, like a bottle. And again, he's like, everything was intentional. And the Lord is mysterious. He is the parable telling God, by the way. So this fits Jesus' parable telling. And he's got this flask, and he said, what is that, Lord? And he said, I've been collecting your tears, beloved. And he takes the bottle and he pours it into the river. And instantly Randy knew he's returning my sorrows for joy.
Yeah.
It was like all of the sorrows we've been through in life, we weren't alone, and God saw them, and he counts every one. And when we stay faithful to him through that, he's going to return it for joy.
Yeah.
And sorrow's not the permanent. Sorrow's the temporary. Suffering's not the permanent. Suffering's the temporary.
Right.
The separation from God. But the permanent is his joy.